Star Wars, Vigilus, Defiant, Chapter 1, Beginnings.
To any Imperial forces in range, I am Astropath Primus Helena Arcan of the Lunar Choir of Neovelum, Moon of Vigilus. Vigilus has been invaded by a greenskin horde. They have cut off our hive cities from one another, and if we do not receive aid soon, the planet will fall, and with it, the Nakman Gauntlet. The night world Derivar has already been overwhelmed, and we are alone. In the name of the Emperor, we need help. Message repeats. To any Imperial forces in range, I am...
Warriors of the Emperor, this is Lord Commander Robute Gilliman. I hereby declare the world of Vigilus to be peril extremis, and direct all possible aid to the system. Without Vigilus, we lose the Nakman Gauntlet, and without the Gauntlet, we lose the Imperium Nihilus. I have dispatched Chapter Master Marnius Calgar of the Ultramarines to take command of the defense. Vigilus must not fall. For the Imperium! For the Emperor!
Beyond the shutters, the warp screamed and clawed and scrabbled. Another impact slammed against the hull, another spectral wave breaking across the ship. Watchmaster Zephyr sat in the command throne of the Swift Retribution, concerned. This passage was far from stable, but it shouldn't be bobbling them around like a cork in a shaken bottle. He pressed a button on his console. "Navigator," he growled. "What the hell is going on out there?"
"I'm rather busy at the moment, Lord," replied the navigator. "But suffice to say that the Empyrean is unsettled. It's like a pressure forcing its way past us. I'd say it was a bow wave, but the number of vessels required to generate this kind of disturbance would make the fleet more massive than has been seen since the Black Crusades," finished Zephyr. "Indeed, Lord. Now I must return to my duties. Oh, and prepare for real space translation." The Swift Retribution shuddered, and Zephyr gripped the arms of his chair. "Damned navigator," he thought. "Well, 1 point to you." A galloping hitch rolled through the ship's structure, and the shutters began to open.
"System translation complete. Vigilus system ahead. Approximate arrival time to orbit, 3.6 hours,
intoned the deck servitor. "Get me a sensorium scan of the planet. I want to know what their status is." A light blinked on the arm console. Zephyr's brow furrowed. "This had better be important." "Yes, brother librarian." "Watchmaster, I sense something. It's not the shadow cast by the Tyranid fleets, but it's similar. It's much like the feeling on Mithras." "But that's impossible, Watchmaster. We didn't let them through the passage, and they couldn't have gotten here before us without it. Unless they've been here the whole time, planning, plotting, and those fools in the Mechanicus don't even realize. All hands battle stations. Squads, gather your weapons and armor and board the drop pods. And somebody roust those bastard mercenaries and get them to their bastard knights. We have Xenos to purge."
"All right, yous lot, on your feet. That means you, Zograt." "Ow, boss." "Now, we's got new orders, see? The boss wants us to round up all the boys we can and take a run-up on them black-armored beakies that just dropped in, and give them and their big job knot stompers a good kicking." "You got it, boss. How many boys are we needing?" "How many we got?" 1, 2, more than 2, well, we got this many, boss." "Huh, that's a soggin' lot of boys." "It'll do! And get us a bunch of grots, too. If we're going to be making a run-up all that way, we're gonna need reloads, shields, and snacks.
All life has a reflection in the Sea of Souls. Every being and every emotion it feels is an act of creation there. From the smallest joy to the biggest hurt, the warp is made, and if that feeling is shared by many, it is amplified many times over. The joy shared at the festival of the Emperor's Ascent creates spirits of transcendence that can stride nations, while the savage, bloodthirsty chants at sports matches bring forth demons of violence and aggression that swarm over entire cities. Imagine what would be created on the scale of an entire planet's emotions, and the sheer power of it. But you do not have to imagine. Within the warp, where a planet once known as Mithras rests, there is a violent, tearing surge, a cyclopean maelstrom of hate and fear and pain and sorrow and regret that bursts into being with the sound of empty futures and the color of minor key fanfares. Mithras has died, the victim of expediency and scarcity. Bombs dropped from the heavens, releasing fire and plagues on a global scale. Not even the smallest animal hidden in its burrow escaped, and the world is barren now. Billions of souls suddenly released swarm and swirl in a confused, screaming cyclone. It spirals away, to no doubt be consumed by the scavengers and predators of the Empyrean as the spirits within disperse. Except, there, an arm of the swirl is suddenly yanked back down. The souls within it are puzzled, then terrified as the pull happens again. Again! Again! With each tug, more of them are sucked, screaming and struggling into the maw of one soul further down. It grows in size and power with each consumed, and soon its keen of rage is distinct from the cries of fear of those it devours. It grows and swells, this soul, and begins to take a more familiar, humanoid shape as its will grows stronger. As it swells, it molds the warp around it with hate. As it molds, it draws notice. As it is noticed, it is claimed. A vast eye of bronze and blood stares at its newborn child. The eye knows it from when it was mortal, knows its devotion, knows its power. A flick of a retina sends the howling thing across the ocean, careening and tumbling until crashing into a new world. As a newborn tearing its call away, the being tears through the barrier between realities to emerge on material soil.
Vigilus,
it hisses, the knowledge entering its mind from somewhere. It looks out and sees war, and it is pleased. It looks out and sees orcs flung into the air by stomping Imperial Knights, and it is excited. It looks out and sees the heraldry of liberation ventures, and it is enraged. Corval, demon prince of Khorne, the gold turned brass, Gore Wolf, peels wings from its new-formed back and rushes to take flight. Behind it, the armies of hate and murder and blood emerge from its wake to join in the coming slaughter. Brothers, sisters, our time is at hand. The Sky Fathers come, and with them our ascension. Did not the great book of Grandfather Worm promise that our salvation begins with a war in the heavens? And what has happened, Brother Alcus? The orcs fought the fleet, Magus. Yes! And what does it say would be the next sign of salvation, Sister Portia? The sky will burn and fall, Magus. And so did the ramshackle orc vessels crash to earth. It is our time. We shall stand revealed against those not of the blood, and we shall take this world to prepare it for our deliverance.
Gather your families, arm your broods as we rise. Vigilus falls. As we rise, the grandfather waits. Forearms open. Go, my brothers and sisters. Let us rise.
Four eyes in two heads, attached to one body, stare curiously at Vigilus through the veil. Through them, it both burns and does not, is simultaneously pristine and swallowed by the warp, is surrounded by an immense defense fleet, and breaks apart in a silent, core-shattering rupture. For this being, all possibilities are like an open book. Claws swish idly through the ethereal swirls of soul stuff. The heads speak.
Ahriman failed. Baphomet is still chained, and not by the chains we created. Ahriman moves on already and looks to the webway for answers. The defenders of Vigilus do not realize the extent of their infiltration, the undermining of their culture by the cults of the hive mind. Whole hives are given over to the rule of the hive cult. They are everywhere. The Blackstone deposits are what keeps this gauntlet open, sown there by old hands. Abaddon comes to Vigilus, and we are there to greet him with knowledge of the stone's existence.
Nodding in an alternating pattern, the creature known as Fate Weaver unfurled pinioned wings and soared the emotional thermals towards its foreseen destiny. Raptor wing in position. We will commence flanking charge in support of the Vigilant Guard 18th on your order.
Brother Lucas, this is Samuel. The enemy is here, brother. Your Raptor wing will be tasked with the hunt once we have found them. You will be given a code word and a set of coordinates. Your highest priority will be moving to that location and running down your prey.
And if our redeployment leaves our allies in a tenuous or disastrous situation, Interrogator Chaplain?
All other concerns are priority minimus.
Understood, Lord. We are ready for the hunt.
Good fortune, Lucas. Your code word will be Talon Strike.
Ave Imperator! Vigilus stands! Vigilus is defiant! Vigilus will burn.